Uka Uka is free? No, it cannot be. Evil, great evil has come.
None have dared fail the great Uka Uka even once. But you, Cortex, you have failed me twice!
Great Uka Uka! It was that infernal Bandicoot!
From deep inside my temple prison, I sent you simple instructions to follow. But you lost the gems, you lost the crystals, and I have lost my patience. There is now no other power source left on this planet.
I know we've had a few unfortunate setbacks.
And failed. But since your bumbling has managed to set me free, I am feeling generous. There is still a way to amass the power needed to enslave this miserable planet. And this time, the great Uka Uka will make sure that you do it right.
After many eons, my evil twin brother, Uka Uka, has been freed from his underground prison. Long ago, I locked him there to protect the world from his malice. Now, free once again, he must be stopped. Children, Uka Uka and Cortex plan to use this time-twisting machine to gather crystals that lay scattered across time. I have brought you here to recover the crystals before they do. To open the time portal, simply stand on a button and then jump into the portal. Good luck.
Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Randomize and this is Crash Bandicoot 3. It has been far too long since I initially planned to start this. Obviously, I have done the Crash Bandicoot and Crash Bandicoot 2 here on the Insane Trilogy version. And with Crash 4 pretty much been released now, and very excited, very excited for that. But in the meantime, I never got around to finishing my Crash 3 run, which is really sad because Crash 3 was my favorite of the three. Back when I was playing these a lot more frequently, I would say that I think those are like clips of levels from the other Crash games as well up on there. But yeah, I always used to love Crash 3, even more so than 2 and 1. And since sort of playing those initial games, I've come to appreciate 2 a lot more. But 3 still has a very special place in my heart. Now, things sort of were happening last time I was trying to record this. I think I noticed there was a noticeable difference with how some of the vehicles control in this game compared to the original, and I was struggling with that quite a lot, and I didn't feel great about it, especially thinking about then sort of how we were going to be getting platinum relics and things like that, and it was going to take forever. And I sort of just put it on the back burner, and I completed the game I completed my game separately without recording it, and yeah, I somewhat regret doing that now because I think we definitely could have. It would have been good fun to have done so anyway. But no, we're going to do this. We're going to go through Crash 3. So as usual, we're going to have some starting episodes, which are just going to be us going through and grabbing crystals and gems. And then we are going to earn some relics as well, go through the relics. Now in this game, it's interesting because we have a series of extra levels that are available from the central platform here once we've unlocked certain numbers of relics. And so it won't just be a straight up do all the levels, then do all the relics. I think we will actually have to sort of do some of the, we will have to do some levels in between. And the issue with that is obviously in terms of getting platinum relics, well, we're going to need the speed shoes. The only way you get the speed shoes is by beating the final boss. However, there are several, and I do mean a fair few vehicle-based levels. Stuff like Orient Express here. We've also got Makin waves, and there are plenty of vehicle level sections that we could potentially do. Even something like Under Pressure here, which is an underwater level, you could also speed run without needing the sprint shoes. And so it may well be that we use the relics from those levels and we intersperse them whilst we also obviously grab all of the crystals and try and grab all of the extra gems as well, because obviously they're fair, you know, we have to get all the gems and all the crystals. Okay, but we're going to start off with level 1 with Toad Village as we enter Tiny's little warp room here, the medieval area.
Crash, crash, crash. Why must you always muck in my mud? Oh, look, I have a mask helping me too. We will find out which one is more powerful soon enough.
So yeah, we have Toad Village, a lovely little first level. And it'll be really interesting just to sort of, especially with Crash 4 coming out, just to have this as a bit of a reference to, because I think if you haven't played, you know, the other games too recently, I think you can sort of lose track as to how these games feel and that sort of thing. So I think it would be a good thing for me to sort of play through this game, get a good feel for the old Crash formula. The other thing I also want to do is do some of Crash Nitro Field. I definitely want to record some of that. I've already done a huge amount on that game, obviously off camera, and I think it would be a great video as well. So yeah, a great video game to also do. So plenty to look forward to as I try and get back into doing a bit more recording and a bit more uploading as well. As we head into the first of many bonus first of many bonuses in the game. And it is fair to say that just as with the other games in the Insane trilogy, these games do still look absolutely beautiful in their remastered state. It was such an absolute joy to play through these at the time. And yeah, it was, and I'm really looking forward to playing through them again. And even going through all of the pain of getting the platinums. So yeah, actually, I don't think I've ever got all of the I got all the platinums on the old PS1 version of this game, but I don't think I ever got all the platinums on the Insane Trilogy version. As I say, because I was really struggling with those vehicle sections, just because the controls are that little bit different. I think the motorbike levels in particular are going to be difficult. They're going to be a challenge, but we're going to get through. So something new for 3 obviously was those rotating crates, where if you leave them for too long, they do turn into an unbreakable steel crate, and you will lose access to being able to get the gem. But Toad Village, a nice easy start for us there as we grab our first gem, our first crystal. And we're going to move on to level 2, which will be Under Pressure, the first of 2 underwater levels. with this one obviously being much easier. And it is the sort of thing that I've only really noticed, the criticism commonly leveled at Crash 3 is that there are a few too many of these sort of non-standard Crash levels, a few too many levels where you're relying on things such as underwater mechanics, or driving mechanics, or riding a tiger across the Great Wall of China, and all this sort of stuff. I never really had an issue with that an awful lot. I see where people come from with it, but I never had an issue with the different focuses. I thought all of them were generally done very, very well, and so why complain? Why be worried about it? Okay. Just trying to. Are we gonna have to miss any of the? I think we can't get the gem on Boneyard, but I might be wrong. I think the big thing to compare it to would be something like, say, Crash Wrath of Cortex, which was, obviously very much in the style of Crash 3. Very much took a lot of cues from Crash 3 in terms of level design and even just general game structure. And it too had lots and lots of vehicle levels, but I think it's fair to say that the vehicles in that game, the controls, were not of sufficient a sufficient standard to really make that game tick. And Crash Wrath of Cortex, I mean, obviously being the first Crash game, I think it was my first ever game to have on the PS2. First game I got with my PS2, because obviously I had the Crash games on the PlayStation 1, and so when I first got a PS2, naturally getting the next Crash game was going to be something important to me. And so it does still have a place there, but there is always that asterisk of it is not as good. And seeing how Crash 4 has sort of pretty much just been like, no, but we're going to completely ignore all games in the series that were released not by Naughty Dog. Is certainly an interesting, and I mean, I've largely seen it as a pretty positive decision to sort of neglect those other games. There we go. Okay, we get our second gem, second crystal. I do have to say, I think one of the big reasons why I always loved Crash 3 over the others is the warp room music, because the warp room music is amazing. No doubt about it, it's just absolutely amazing. Okay, so, do we do a vehicle level, or do we just do another one of these? I think we will do Boneyard next. The reason being is that having Aku-Akus and things like that is always pretty preferable to have them for levels, obviously when you're acting as Crash where you can go invincible, whereas, and obviously I use them on Under Pressure, so I'm kind of talking a load of rubbish there, but you get the idea of sort of wanting to have Akus in levels where you can go invincible and things like that. So here we have the first of, I think just two sort of classic Crash chase levels. This one and a level in the third warp room called Dynamite, which is another great level. And I don't know why, but in a lot of ways I felt that the game sort of... The design, like Naughty Dog, I felt like they just had a lot more, like they felt like they could have a lot more fun with it when they took on, you know, here, because obviously they've suddenly got like the flexibility of literally all periods of time in order to sort of set their levels, and I feel like they really, you know, went with that. And really utilize that to create some really cool levels, some really cool environments. And I guess there are certain ones that you can sort of see the repetition of. I think the Arabian levels, I think there's 3 of those. You could argue that there's 4 Egyptian levels, I think. Oh dear. Don't know if you can fall down there, I doubt it, but let's not. But I guess somehow I think the sort of, even just having the big variety from like a level like this where obviously, you know, we're looking at prehistoric dinosaurs and then you're going into medieval knights and castles, and then you've got stuff like you know, the Great Wall of China, you've got ancient Egypt, you've got such a big variety of level locations and things like that, which make it really, really, that makes each of them really stand out quite nicely. And maybe my younger self was just, you know, wanted to have that constant change of sort of focus and the different style of level over and over and over again. Really, you know, was looking for that in the game. And I think it's fair to say that Crash 2 is just a little bit more cohesive in that regard. In terms of its levels seeming, I think you could say definitely that Crash 2's levels feel like they would more fit in a single location. Okay, so we do get the Boneyard Gem, which does imply that all of the boxes down the second route. Obviously, we passed the red gem route there in Boneyard, so all of the boxes down there will be nitros. Something to look forward to, no doubt. But still, this is going pretty well. We'll next do Makin Waves. The first of Coco's levels. The first time Coco was ever playable.
Uka Uka and Cortex want tiny get crystals and bring them to big Colosseum in Rome. Crash! Leave them for Tiny or Crash get crushed!
So the first of Coco's levels, the first ever level for Coco in the series, and she has purely vehicle levels. That's something that Wrath of Cortex did quite nicely, was give Coco some actual like full levels. Although even those, really only a few were actually, you know, didn't have their own share of gimmicks. And certainly this is the first time where the sort of finding the differences in the control scheme is going to, they're going to show their ugly features, unfortunately. And again, it's not the fault of the game so much as it's the fault of, you know, muscle memory and things like that. So you just get so used to especially at a level like this, especially when the levels themselves are so familiar. You know, they are the same levels as what we did, as what we were doing. You know, the same levels, the same level hazards, and there is such a familiarity to it. And then when you lose that because your, you know, the controls are different, that does have an effect. Especially when you then have to do these levels in a high-stress environment, like going for a platinum, you know, going for a relic and things like that. Okay, so this is the first of 4 jet ski levels, if I remember correctly. This one being definitely the easiest. 2 of them are somewhat hidden. One being only available once you have 5 relics, and the other one is the one of 2 secret levels in the game. Because obviously, as a Crash game, you've got to have secret levels. We did not get that middle box. So yeah, it's that sort of just. Again, it's just the game feel, just those little bits that sort of take it away. And in a standard level like that, where you're just sort of making your way through, it's not too bad. But as soon as it gets into something where you're like really pushing the limits of it all, then the muscle memory you might have for sorting that out the previous time, that's what makes it slightly different. And obviously we have our own version of the Coco dance, the Coco Crash dance. Okay, so the last set of these first 5 we've got is Orient Express, which is probably one of the most fun levels to speedrun. It is glorious in a speedrun context. Obviously, we're not going to be doing it in this one in a speedrun context. This we're just going to do in a trying to hit everything, which has gone incredibly well from the very start there. As we have our first death, but obviously that happens. And that's very annoying. So obviously we're quitting because we missed the box, and then we did actually hit the checkpoint like a fool. So we have to try again. Again, those sort of, you know, it's similar. You do have a few more of these type levels where you have these sort of on the rail segments. At least with the jet ski, you can turn around. But in levels like this, it's all or nothing pretty much. You've got to hit those boxes. You've got to. And I mean, you had similar ones in Crash 2, for example, obviously with Polar and his levels. And Pura is very similar to that. Doesn't stop it being just a little bit frustrating. So we want to come up here, grab those 3. Nope. Ooh, I think we shouldn't have got through that, but we did. And the last one, where you've just got to make sure that you don't land on the bounce. And we did not do a good job of that. Okay, just getting used to Pura's sprint there. There we go. So that should be 51 of 51. So yeah, in a speedrun context, that level is very, very fun. In a normal level context, and especially when you're trying to get the gem, it can be a little frustrating. There's nothing wrong with frustrating. Nothing wrong with a bit more of a challenge there. Okay, so 5 crystals, 5 gems, and so to finish off this first episode, we have to take on Tiny. And to do so, we'll go all the way back to Rome and have the Roman Colosseum section. Obviously, in this game, we will eventually also be able to be Coco and Crash's levels, I think. But I don't think you can be Crash in Coco's, which is interesting. But yeah. So you have Tiny, our first boss. And the nice thing, again, in this game is that...
Coco stole the pretty crystals. Tiny, take them back in Gladiator Arena.
The other nice thing that you get in this game is we will get power-ups. You get power-ups for beating the bosses. That's where I was going with that. So this one's not too bad. He's gonna hop around after us and leave himself open. He's then gonna go up to the top and call in the lions, which you can spin away. Indeed, it used to be in the PS1 game that you could get quite a lot of lives by using one of the other power-ups, the third power-up. You get the super spin to spin away multiple enemies in one spin, and as you would do that, you could pick up lives by doing so. I think is there a trophy, or there's... Oh no, there's a little Easter egg here where if you hide in a certain section of the map, the audience starts throwing cheese at you because you're trying to cheese the... in a sense of you're trying to cheese the game. I don't know whether they'll do it now. The main idea was that in the PS1 there was a little glitch where if you just stood at... if you just hung back in a small section of the right at the front near where the lions came out, you could just hide there and they'd never touch you. And so...
Well done, children. By defeating Tiny, you have unlocked the gate to the next time travel area. Go back to the center of this time twister and save your progress if you wish. From there, you will see that the gate to the second time travel area is now open.
So yeah, you could sneakily sort of just hide in that one section at the front, and the lions just wouldn't hit you. And so just as a little callback to that, they actually included such that the audience throws cheese at you for trying to cheese the game, which I think is quite cute. Anyway, so that is the first 5 levels done. So no real issues. The big question will now be what we do with regards to relics. So obviously there are 3 relics that we can get from this section. We can get Under Pressure, we should be able to get Orient Express, and we should be able to get Makin Waves. And if we get those 3 relics, as we start to pick up relics, like I said, we'll be able to come here to the front. And again, there are more relics that we can get in Warp Room 2. So level 8 we can get the relic for, and level 10. So we'll already have 5 out of 10 relics there, and that's already unlocked another level which we can also get the relic for. So that would be 11 relics. And just trying to work out how well we can get across before sort of hitting the final area. Because once we beat the final area, we can then just pick up the remaining relics before dealing with the end. So we'll see what we do. It may well be that I sort of spend some time picking up. I'm trying to remember how many relics it is. I think it's only. It may well only be 25 relics to get the final to defeat the final boss. So what we could then do is maybe have another episode, like a sixth episode. So, you know, one episode for each warp room, then a sixth episode doing the 2 secret levels and the, so doing 2 secret levels and 3, and just finishing off the rest of the rest of the gems and things like that from the central area and stuff like that. And once we do that, then we can finish off the rest of the relics. But anyway, I hope you have enjoyed this episode of my walkthrough to, my walkthrough to Crash Bandicoot 3 here on the N-Setting Trilogy. And I hope you'll join me on the next, in the next warp room. We'll be doing warp room 2, and then hopefully taking on the boss there. So, hope to see you then.